Honey, are you ready to go? At this rate, we're gonna be late.
Are you saying that I'm the reason we're going to be late? You're the one who said you forgot your razor and then went through your bag tossing all your stuff all over the place. Why are you putting the blame on me for making us late?
I need to be able to shave in the morning, but my razor isn't there. If we just leave now, I won't be able to shave for 3 days. I can't go without shaving for that long.
You could just go and buy a new one at the store, couldn't you? It's been half an hour since you started looking for your razor.
No way, my razor doesn't hurt at all and gives it a super smooth shave. It works really well, so I can't just go and replace it with another one.
Well then, instead of just blankly twiddling your thumbs, you need to put your thinking cap on a bit to actually do something about it. Retrace your steps. Where was the last place you set it down?
I distinctly remember putting it back in my bag after I used it last night in the bathroom. It's the strangest thing ever. Is it really not in my bag? Could it have been a ghost or something?
Just forget it. Let's just go. We've been at this for so long, your mother must have arrived by now. We should have been the ones to get to the airport first so she could have met up with us there. What are we going to do now that your mom got there first?
No, don't worry, there's still quite a while until the plane lands, isn't there? Just keep looking for a little longer. I'm gonna keep searching too.
Have you lost your mind? You just now reorganized your bag, so why are you emptying it out all over again? I can't deal with you!
Let me look for it just one more time. I definitely put it in my bag. There's no possible way that it's not in there. Don't you have a rough guess as where it could be? It could be stuck in the gaps between the clothes too.
Look at this. I am getting a call from your mother. She probably arrived already. What are we going to do? Even if we leave right this minute, I think it'll probably still take us an hour to get there.
Just pick up the call and tell her that we're on our way or something. Did I get it all mixed up? Was it not this bag? Honey, can you give me the bag that you're holding right now? I think my razor for sure is inside that one.
I am getting non-stop calls from your mom.
I found it. Honey, look. It's right here, my razor. Didn't I tell you? I told you it would be in this bag, right?
You moron. You have the audacity to be laughing right now?
Of course. Why wouldn't I be happy? I've been using this particular razor for decades. You don't get how I feel since you've never felt a sense of attachment to anything.
Okay, I got it. So let's get going. Hello? Yes, Mrs. Whitney. I'm very sorry. The traffic is just so bad right now. We'll be there soon. If my son is tired, you should leave him at home. What made you want to come all the way to the restaurant together? Do you not have any sense? What could have possibly made Arthur tired? When we were going to the airport to pick you up, I was the one driving. I was the one who drove us all back to your house too, wasn't I? He was fast asleep in the passenger seat. When it comes to being tired, shouldn't I be the one who's more tired? Did you just badmouth him? Right in front of me just now? Of course not. I'm just being frank with you. Don't misunderstand what I'm trying to get at. By the way, you must be having a rough time right after coming back from a trip. Why did you want to meet at a restaurant straight away? You should rest for a bit at home. Nonsense. I'm not the type who can't comfortably go on a trip. I'm not that old yet. Anyway, I got a call asking when I would open the restaurant again. That's why I had to come back so fast. Oh, I see. Since the place was closed for a few days, there must be a lot of hard work to do. Should I just call Arthur? If I call him now, he should be able to get here in about 10 minutes. This girl. What do you think you're doing right now? Who did you just say you would call? Pardon? My husband. He's at your house, and I'm sure he's just lying around on the sofa playing video games, probably. So instead of that, it'd be better if I called him over so that we could get some cleaning done together. Is what I'm saying to you going in one ear and out the other? I told you to leave him be, since he's all tired out from earlier. I am your mother-in-law. Why aren't you listening to what I'm telling you? Mrs. Whitney, yesterday I had to work overtime. cut the blabbing and go to the kitchen and do some cleaning. Make sure you get a sponge and scrub that floor until it's squeaky clean as well. With a sponge? You don't normally go to all those lengths when you're cleaning, though. Why would you clean the kitchen floor with a sponge? I'll go bring a broom? Did you just say broom? Do you think sweeping with a broom is enough to properly get rid of all the oil? Well, if you use a plastic broom like a brush and then pour some cleaning liquid on it and sweep, it does a really good job of making things extremely clean. I clean the bathroom at our house using a broom too. Then you can go to your house and do all that. Around here, if we're cleaning floors, we use a sponge. Everything has a reason. What could be the reason for that? In the end, you just need something to be cleaned well, so by all means, why does it matter? Do you just think I'm blindly trying to boss you around or something? The fact of the matter is, what would someone like you, who has only ever worked under other people, even know? You ought to quit your complaining and just do as I tell you to do. Say you don't clean the floor properly. Later on, if someone were to get hurt and go to the hospital and need to get surgery because of you, wouldn't you feel sorry? She doesn't normally even clean the kitchen, and all of a sudden she's spouting some nonsense telling me they always use a sponge to wipe the floor? This all makes zero sense. It's absolutely ridiculous. Of course I would. I understand. I'll make sure to use a sponge to clean the floor. I just have to wipe it all until I can see my own reflection, right? I'll scrape away at it. Well, isn't it so nice to see you answer me at once without complaining beforehand? Once you're finished cleaning the kitchen floor, you need to clean out the air conditioner too, so get going quickly. The air conditioner? How do I clean the air conditioner? I think you need to call a worker to do that. Calling someone else to do it costs money. It's just cleaning. Why would I need to call someone for that? How is it that you're going to keep spending money wastefully like that? When you're the breadwinner of the family, you should know that you need to save money. In the future, if you by chance give birth to a child, you better not even think about hiring someone to watch over your child. That's the biggest example there is when it comes to people just throwing away their money these days. Isn't that right? You should have also known when to save money as the breadwinner of the family. After a long time, we feel the same way about something. All that being said, I had a quarrel with my husband over the same topic. Arthur keeps spending money on video games. He spent about $2,000 on a headset. Isn't that ridiculous? What? $2,000? I don't know. I think it's important to save money rather than waste them on things like that. I kept telling him that in our house, the person who earns the money and the person who spends the money are different. He started sulking and wouldn't even speak to me after that. Don't you agree with me on this, Mrs. Whitney? Once we go back home today, can you have a quick word with your son? Since he won't even hear me out on what I'm saying. You came here to clean, so why do you have so much to say? You have a great heap of things to do, so what time do you have to keep chit-chatting away like this? You're just sitting around and rambling on. Stop being so noisy and go bring the sponge here. You better get going in the kitchen right away. Of course, Mrs. Whitney. Well then, I'll get started on the cleaning. Oh, by the way, you better start making everything prim and proper too. As I'm looking around, I can see some spider webs in a bunch of the corners, so good luck to you too. Listen here. Oh, forget it. Just forget it. If I keep talking to you, I'm just going to end up with a headache. My mother-in-law was running a restaurant, and her business was doing quite well in the neighborhood. Since my father-in-law passed away, she's been running the whole thing by herself. She's never once gotten a chance to rest, so with a whole lot of persuasion, we barely convinced her to go on a trip with her friends. When we sent her money for her travels, we told her it was both me and my husband's money, but in reality, it was all my money. To this day, my mother-in-law still doesn't know that. She told all her friends that went with her that her son told her to go on a trip and even gave her the money for it. She told them there was no other son as devoted as hers. Even before they left for the vacation, she spent all her time bragging about her son. My husband works at his mom's restaurant to help her out. My salary is a bit more than double what my husband makes, so it wasn't too much of a burden to give her money. Well, one day when I was a newlywed, I stayed at my in-laws' house for a while since our bathroom was being repaired. I don't know why she was like this, but my mother-in-law felt extremely bad for my husband and would tell him to relax over and over again. And in turn, she would just spend all her energy ordering me around. And then there was a particular huge incident that had my mother-in-law trembling. Oh, Sue, is that you? It's nice to run into you here of all places. I have some business at the bank. There's nothing particularly nice about it. What brings you to the bank in our neighborhood, Heather? Dressed like that, too. How can you walk around so brazenly looking like that? I'm so embarrassed to be seen with her by my neighbors. I need to hurry up and carry on with my work as soon as possible. I have a few things to do around this part of town sometimes, so I stop by here. You must come to this branch regularly, right? I also come to this bank fairly often. The benefits at this branch are really nice as well. Well then, I'm sorry, Heather, but I didn't just come here for some idle chit-chat. There's a lot of other people here right now, too. Being this noisy in a public place shows a lack of manners, doesn't it? Well, yes, I guess you are right about that. But this isn't a library or an art gallery or anything. I don't think we necessarily have to be that quiet. I'm fairly certain that my voice isn't loud enough to be a disturbance to others. Heather, are you making a wisecrack at me right now? Pardon? Not at all. That's not what I was getting at all. It's just so nice to see you after such a long time, Sue. That's absolutely nonsensical. What do you mean, not at all? Anyone who hears your words can tell that you're taking a stab at me. Do you think I'm uneducated or something? Are you looking down on me? Before you start looking down on anyone else, why don't you take a glance in the mirror first? Look at your attire right now. Sue, I think you're raising your voice a bit too much. You seem to be too loud. If you keep at this, won't you cause a disturbance toward the other people at the bank? Also, when did I ever look down on you? Oh, are you being for real right now? First you're acting as if you know everything and then going around making fun of people. Now you've come all the way to another neighborhood just to embarrass me? Do you think that I'm torturing your daughter or something? I told her to clean the restaurant not too long ago. She must have gone to tattle to her mother straight away. My restaurant is extremely popular in this neighborhood. I was busy, so I asked her to lend a hand. You can't go considering that to be abuse towards my daughter-in-law, can you? I didn't come all the way over here to pick a bone with you over that. I already told you that I came because I had something to do with the bank. But now you mention it, you told my daughter to clean your restaurant? My daughter got married because she wanted to be with her husband. She did not get married so she could clean her husband's mother's restaurant. I didn't send my daughter over for her to do all that for her in-laws either. What? It's perfectly normal for family members to step in and offer to help each other. As a matter of fact, I can tell how much you coddled your daughter when you raised her. There's not a single thing that she knows how to do right. Her hands are so clean and well-groomed. Just by looking at them, you can tell she hasn't worked a hard day in her life. Did you think that after raising a child like that, just shipping them off to get married would solve everything? Did you think that would be the end of it? After living under your roof for so long, she didn't learn a single thing from her parents. So, as her mother-in-law, I need to step in and teach her everything from A to Z. At her ripe age, my daughter-in-law still needs basic education. Do I have to be the one providing all of that for her? Sue, first of all, please calm down. You seem to have gotten a bit riled up, so why don't we go ahead and take this conversation outside, okay? Oh, forget it! Forget it! My mood has already been spoiled today, so I'm going to get going first. I hope whatever business you have at this bank goes completely swimmingly. Get back to your neighborhood safely. Sue! Oh dear. I'm sorry for having caused such a scene. I'm very sorry. Rebecca, just the person I wanted to have a word with. Why did your mom come all the way to someone else's neighborhood just to cause so much trouble? It's like you guys are twins. Mother and daughter, the two of you seem to resemble each other quite exactly when it comes to personality, What? Why are you suddenly bringing up my mother? She came all the way to the bank in our neighborhood. And don't get me started on the clothes she was wearing. Why did she come dressed like a beggar? If she was going to look like that, the least she could have done was to pretend like she didn't know me. I was so embarrassed to be seen with her in front of our other neighbors. Oh, seriously? You ran into my mom at the bank? That's right. And when she was talking to me, she had the audacity to tell me that my voice was too loud and that I should quiet down a bit. She was the one that started being noisy in the first place. Who does she think she is? How dare she criticize someone else? Huh. My mom isn't the type of person to go somewhere and be loud or do anything without manners. Well, if that's the case, are you implying right now that I'm the type of person to do that? Anyways, ever since I got tied up with your family, there's not a single thing that's gone well for me. I've been worried because the number of customers at the restaurant has been going down little by little too. Since you're also part of that ridiculously half-witted family, I guess you've decided to cause a mess with your in-laws too. You must all be trembling with fear at the thought of not being able to get to me. Right. Other than that, did my mother not say anything else to you? Oh, what more would I have to talk about with that crow? Talking to her put me in a rather unpleasant mood, so I left. I just walked out of there. Since you're an outsider to our family, you must think your mom is more important than me, don't you? You're always riddled with a bit of bias, are you not? Why are you dividing us into different sides? Please don't be like that toward my mom, Mrs. Whitney. What if you end up regretting it later on? What's all this? That both of you are teaming up to look down on me? You said I was doing a good job of managing the restaurant, so what possible explanation is there for no customers being there? You should have gone out and done some advertising on the street. There's nothing even special about you. Look at your face and your body. Even if you were to have advertised on the street, I doubt anyone would have come in. Mrs. Whitney, this is a restaurant, not a nightclub. Are you being serious? What kind of person would come to a restaurant like this to sit down and eat at 3 p.m. on a weekday? Wait, then is that rumor true? What rumor are you talking about? I heard that supposedly right next to this building there's a new restaurant. And apparently they also serve the same main dish as you at that place. Anyway, regardless of that, if you're not getting any customers these days, doesn't that mean your restaurant is a failure? A failure? What failure? My restaurant is not a failure. Even the way you talk is just like your mother. And by the way, where did you even hear that rumor? The lady that owns the restaurant 2 doors down from yours told me. That lady also seemed to be very worried about the future of your restaurant, Mrs. Whitney. She mentioned that it used to be doing pretty well, but these days the only customers are the flies buzzing in and out of it. She said she figured you would end up shutting the place down soon. Apparently you had been pushing back paying your monthly rent a lot, too? The hag from the restaurant next door said all of that to you? Oh, in any case, you should be aware that that woman has quite the big mouth on her. And now that you mention it, if you have some money, why don't you hand it over? Where would I have come across any money? You don't have anything stashed away in your savings account at all? Didn't Arthur already tell you? Whatever we had in my savings account has disappeared because of him. That jerk garnered up some debt after he rammed into a fancy imported car, so he had to use my savings to pay for the repairs. Does Arthur have any money? He must be earning at least minimum wage working at your restaurant, right? What? He got into an accident? He didn't get hurt anywhere, did he? Oh, my poor dear. If I knew that happened to him, I would have at least taken him to the hospital. Why didn't you tell me something this important until right now? Instead of standing around here, go back home quickly and fetch your husband. Go, take him to the hospital right at once. There may have been some delayed effects from the car accident. Arthur was completely unscathed, to the point that he thought going to the hospital would be a bit embarrassing. That's why we ended up not going. Don't worry about it too much. My husband is working hard to repay all the money he borrowed from me. What? Why would my son have to repay that money? A couple should be able to spend each other's money. He said that you would receive the car repair money from him right away, didn't he? I mean, of course I should get it back. It was my money. The two of us don't have the same living expenses, so we already agreed to not touch each other's money. Were you not aware of this either, Mrs. Whitney? Are you guys even a couple then? You guys have a much worse relationship than most others. Don't you dare even think about taking off with my son's money. He controls the purse strings of our family to a T. Yes, my husband also thought we should have a joint account at first, but he was always buying in game items and drinking all the time. He said he hated hearing my nagging all the time, so we just agreed to mind our own business when it came to money. Of course, my Arthur is just maintaining his social life. If you keep going on like that, of course it would get quite annoying. How can you go on without any pleasures in life? Is that all there is to someone's social life? I would think that all things considered, I was the one maintaining a more proper social life because I have a proper job. I also have a work life. Now that you mentioned that, since you work at a company, you could easily take out loans from the bank, couldn't you? You could just borrow about $200,000 and then easily take care of the late monthly rental charges and the employee salaries. It would resolve everything at the drop of the hat. The interest keeps on adding up, so I owe more and more. That's why I just went and came back from the bank earlier. I went to check roughly how much money I was able to receive in loans. You ought to keep working until I die to support me too. But Mrs. Whitney, even so, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Regardless of how close we are as family members, there's still boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. At this rate, I can't keep up with rent. If this restaurant stops existing, do you think you'll be able to be the sole breadwinner of the family? Do you reckon you'll be able to feed and support both me and my son? You don't have the time to keep nitpicking at the situation like that right now. You better make your way to the bank before it closes. I was really flustered by my mother-in-law's sudden request. She wanted me to take out loans and lend her some money. I knew my mother-in-law didn't have much shame, but when I saw how far she went, all I could do was let out a sigh. Ever since I was young, my parents had educated me on all things related to money. Because of that, I've never gone to the bank to take out loans. My parents always told me that even amongst family, it was really easy for a good familial relationship to sour when money got involved. It was for that reason that they warned me not to ever recklessly give away money at any cost. With all that being said, when my husband and I went back to her place, my mother-in-law quickly requested that I gave her the money. She kept contacting me over and over again, urging me to hand it over. I even developed severe gastritis due to the stress she was causing me. My mother-in-law visited the hospital too, though it may have seemed as if she was coming to send her well wishes to a sick person. That definitely wasn't the case. Rebecca, why didn't you tell me? Tell you about what? About your mother. I'm talking about your mother. I just found out that apparently she's a VIP client at the bank. That day at the bank, I found out why she was there when I ran into her. The lady that owns the supermarket was also there at the bank that day. She heard everything Heather was talking about with the branch manager. She said the mood of the conversation was no joke. Oh, yes. My mom doesn't really like talking about that very much, since, well, it's not really something that other people need to know. Oh my, why would this be something that doesn't concern anyone else? It's a rather important fact to know. Do you know how much money you need to have to put in your bank account to be considered a VIP client at that bank? Obviously, I would ask her to take care of the delayed salaries, but I can also ask her to buy a new restaurant property for me to help my restaurant get back on its feet again. Anyway, the reason I'm mentioning this is because the landlord keeps raising the monthly rent and threatening me to pay it. Isn't that so annoying to deal with? I beg your pardon? Why would my mom have to set up a restaurant for you just because she's a VIP client at the bank? Don't you think we'd have a better family relationship if we're close enough to exchange money back and forth with each other? Does that mean you're not here to check up on me in the hospital, but rather that you just came to try and get money from me and my mom? Oh, you're making such a fuss over a slightly upset tummy. Anyway, if you can't do this for me, I guess I'll just have to be the one to take care of it. Well then, why don't you let me know your mother's contact information? Mrs. Whitney! Oh, good heavens, you startled me. Why are you raising your voice all of a sudden? Are you really even ill? If you can do all this, aren't you just faking it? There's no way that a sick person would be able to raise their voice so loudly. Did I say something I wasn't supposed to say? You know all the circumstances surrounding my situation, and you're looking down on me too? That's what it is, isn't it? What other possible explanation could there be? I'll pretend I didn't hear everything you said to me today. I would appreciate it if you stopped with all this nonsense and just left me alone. Please, go back home. And whose grand idea is it for you to pretend that you didn't listen to me? You better think carefully about all this. If I'm not able to give people their salaries and we can't get anything done at the restaurant due to that, do you think we're the only ones who would suffer a loss? Also, since your mother is a literal VIP client at the bank, about $150,000 to $200,000 should be just a drop in the ocean for her. Am I wrong? I have no intention of conveying what you're saying right now to my mother. So instead of giving a patient a hard time, you should really just get going. Please. Oh, I get it. You finally have some money of your own now. That's what you're implying, right? Please stop. If you don't want to talk to her yourself, I told you all you have to do is give me your mother's phone number. That's it. Ah, I see. You have your cell phone with you right there. Why are you going through someone else's cell phone? If you don't want me to call someone to have you escorted out, please leave right now. Oh my, look at that foul temper of yours. You're identical to your mother. Look at you, giving your mother-in-law a terrible mouthful like that. Oh, whatever. Forget it. Forget it. Do you think I don't have any self-respect? I'm the one at fault for ever expecting anything from you. It's my fault. What kind of person is that stubborn? In a situation like this, I should have found out one of her weaknesses and used it against her. I'm talking about cooking up some sort of scheme here. I don't even know what her weakness is, so how can I go about carelessly doing anything?
Well then, Mom, should I ask her mother for a favor? She would be a lot more loving towards her son-in-law, wouldn't she?
That's a good point. Why didn't I think of that? Oh, my son is a genius, isn't he? So then, what excuse are you going to use to get her to give you the money? That woman is no joke. I doubt that woman would just graciously lend you money just because you're her son-in-law.
Can't I just ask her to lend me some money to buy a new car, since mine got wrecked?
She wouldn't lend you a lot of money for a personal reason like that.
Then how about I say I lost all of our money in the stock market?
Did you lose your mind? Wouldn't that be a reason for Rebecca to divorce you?
Well, if none of that works, what should I do? You're not even giving me any suggestions.
Oh, tell her you want to start a business and ask her to make an investment in it. That way you'll be able to become financially independent, and when your business becomes successful, you would want to pay everything back to her daughter. So then you can ask her to just help you out a little bit at the start. The situation would benefit her own daughter as well, so there's no way she'd refuse, right?
Would that really work?
Just try it out, and if it doesn't work, we can find another way to get the money. For the time being, just ask her for a little bit. Maybe you should only ask her to invest around $150,000. Don't get greedy and ask for a lot from the very start. If you do that, you'll be found out and everything will be over. Got it?
Okay, I get it, but how is Rebecca doing? I heard you just came back from the hospital this afternoon. Did she seem to be in a lot of pain? I heard she hasn't even been discharged yet. Without Rebecca, it's hard to even eat any meals.
Does she normally cook good meals for you? I took a peek in the fridge and I barely saw anything in there.
Rather than her cooking for me when we're together, we order a lot of delivery food and eat it with each other. She's not very good at cooking.
What? She's bad at cooking too? She's a married woman, yet she doesn't know how to cook properly? Does that make any sense? Oh dear me, I can't do this anymore. If she hasn't been eating properly, that must be why she developed gastritis. That's what it is, isn't it? Look at her going to the hospital to take care of herself, but leaving you behind to starve. Oh, she only cares about her own body, just her own. Anyway, listen to my words carefully. Rent will be due again next week. You must get the money before then at all costs. Got it, Arthur?
Don't worry about it. I'll get the money no matter what. Anyway, because of all of this, I'm finally able to fulfill my filial duties to you for once. If you just wait for a little while, I'll open a super successful restaurant that serves the most delicious food in your name for you, Mom.
After my mother-in-law and my husband found out the truth that my mom had a lot of money, the two of them met up with each other to form a plot. My husband tried to ring my mom up to tell her that he was starting a business and asked her to invest in it. However, my mother isn't the type of person to just easily hand over money like that. She told my husband that she wanted to see the proposal documents for this business. This request put a huge damper in my husband and my mother-in-law's plans. My mom sensed that something was suspicious regarding the two of them, so she immediately went to relay the situation to me. I also knew right away that those two were up to no good at all. Is it true that you asked my mom to invest in your business? Your business. What business could that possibly be referring to? What's all this talk about a business coming out of nowhere? How could someone as naive as you become a business owner? How can you possibly be even more of a screw-up than you already were?
I'm also someone who can get things done if they put their mind to it. How much longer can I continue to work under my mom? I'm gonna get this done all by myself. Do you have to keep talking about me in that harsh way?
Is this what you call doing something by yourself? You're doing it with my mother's money. If your business fails, how are you going to return the money that you borrowed from my mom? Especially since you haven't even given me back the money you borrowed for those car repair fees yet.
Why are you suddenly bringing up that subject out of nowhere? My business is gonna succeed and I'm gonna pay back all of the money. Also, every other wife would just stand back and be supportive of whatever their husbands want to do. Meanwhile, you're always busy nagging me and criticizing everything I do. So if you keep discouraging me before I even get started, how can I do what I'm supposed to do properly?
Well then, before you show my mother the written proposal for your business plan, let me take a look at it first.
Why would you need to see that? Even if you were to read it, what could you possibly know about business?
Even if I don't understand all of it perfectly, I definitely know a lot more than you do. I've been watching what my mom does since I was a child.
Forget it. Your mom is the one that I need to gain approval from, so she invests in my business, not you. I'm not gonna let anyone other than her take a look. I can't believe you'd even demand such a thing. I'm not willing to make any exceptions, even for my wife.
So, does that mean my mom hasn't spoken to you yet?
What do you mean? Spoken to me about what?
She hasn't had a conversation with you about how the real investor of your business is actually me?
What are you saying? I don't get it.
Your business is obviously going to fail, so you'll basically be doing all this just for the experience. Go ahead and give it a try. My mom left all the potential investment money with me. Did you think my mom was crazy? Did you think she would actually invest in your business?
What?
Also, you didn't really have the intention of starting a business anyway, did you? You just used starting a business as an excuse to get my mom to give you money. You were actually going to use it to open a new restaurant for your mom. Did you think I was in the dark about all of this?
How did you find out about that?
Tell your mom to come out of that room. It's our last day together anyway.
What do you mean by the last day?
I'm going to file for a divorce from you. My child! What's with all the haste? Why are you bringing up divorce out of the blue? We still haven't received any money. We haven't done anything yet. Isn't getting a divorce too rash of a decision? I don't know when or how you little rats are going to try to take money from my family again. How can I just go on like normal, blindingly trusting you?
Rats? Aren't you being a little too harsh with your words? From the beginning, I completely fell for your words and believed you were a kind person who came from a humble background. This whole wedding was built on lies. It was a scam. When we got married, why did you keep the fact that your family had a lot of money a secret?
Are you really acting as if you don't know why I did that? Are you even seeing this whole situation unfold right now? You still can't piece together why I would have done such a thing? Also, do I really need to go to the extent of telling you exactly how much money my family has? I already clearly told you from day one. I told you how my parents worked really hard, and they became comfortable enough to not have to worry about their retirement. We wouldn't have had to assist them in any way in the future. You guys just judged them by their appearances and assumed that they didn't have money. Mrs. Whitney was the one who was guided by her prejudice the whole time. Excuse me? Rebecca, firstly, why don't we calm down a little bit before we talk, all right? You've already done quite enough, Mrs. Whitney. When you came to the hospital, I already gave you a warning, didn't I? You are giving me such a hard time right now. All right, I got it. So what? My restaurant was booming with customers, but that darn COVID was the reason that business began to die down. Ever since then, there were less and less customers. I suffered a lot because of that, okay? I'm sorry. My son hasn't done a single thing wrong, so please, if you must make a compromise on any one thing, please reconsider getting a divorce with Arthur, my child.
She's right. I really don't want to get a divorce with you, honey. I got to deeply realize your preciousness during the time that you were in the hospital. From now on, nothing like this will ever happen again, so please be understanding just this once.
You seem to have put in a great deal of effort whipping up a written proposal for a business that was make-believe in the first place. Maybe I can give you a little tip for all your hard work. Just this much should be enough, right?
Huh? A tip? How much are you giving me? $1? Oh, you have some nerve.
Hey, regardless of the circumstances, there's no excuse to be looking down on people like this. Is this what your mother taught you to be like? Whether people have a lot of money or just a little bit of money, indulging in other people's money is ridiculous. Only truly mean-spirited people would use someone else's money for their own personal luxuries. Does that make any sense? In what world is something like that okay to do? If you guys refuse to be quiet and obediently sign the divorce papers that I'm going to hand over to you, I'll escalate things even further. I'm thinking of filing a lawsuit if that has to be the case, so please, think carefully before saying your next words.
A lawsuit? Did you just say a lawsuit? We didn't even manage to do anything yet. Isn't a lawsuit a bit too extreme? Honey.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with what I'm doing. You both tried to scam my mother out of a lot of money, didn't you? $400,000 if I were to be precise, right? What, a razor business? You work at a restaurant as a server. What's all this written here about you making razors? You don't have a single bit of the knowledge or experience needed for that.
What do you mean? There's that razor of mine that I really like, isn't there? I want to make razors just like that one and sell them. That razor is a godsend, I'm telling you. My razors would sell really well.
Are you saying you have the skill to do that?
I mean, all there is to it is buying a razor blade and then making a handle that works decently, right?
You're just going to make them one by one like that as a cottage industry?
Well, at first at least.
No way. Who in their right mind would invest $400,000 in the business of an absolutely insane person like you? No, but why do you keep saying $400,000? Arthur, sweetie, I told you to only ask for $150,000 at first, didn't I? $400,000 is starting off way too strong. That's the whole reason we're facing this problem now. You better drop a new business proposal with the investment amount changed to $150,000 right away. Do it quickly, right away. Are you kidding me right now? Is this whole business thing just a complete joke to you? Change it to $150,000? Is $150,000 a laughing matter? Oh dear. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I made a grave mistake. So I'm sorry, okay? That ship has already sailed. In fact, it's very long gone, so what are you saying all of this for now? All your lies, your tears, your pleas, they all failed. So can you just stop all of this and leave? And Arthur, you need to go stay at your mother's place as well. After all, this is my house. If you two don't leave, I'm going to call the police.
Okay, I got it. I'll leave. If I just leave, this will all be over, right? But after that, you better call me. I'm absolutely never, ever agreeing to get a divorce with you at any cost.
That's right, child. And don't expect us to create another draft of our business proposal. You must be completely out of your mind. You're fully blinded by money. After I said I would divorce my husband, my mother-in-law and him became quite desperate. They kept putting out new business plans one after the other, with the reason that after getting a divorce, it would be far too late to go bankrupt. There were all the type of businesses where you had to risk your whole life to do it. And even then, you'd still be unsure of whether it was a good decision or not. Since with everything that they were doing, the two of them were the exact same in every way, it made them look even more pitiful in my eyes. As that happened, I grew to hate living with Arthur more and more, so I told him to sign the divorce papers right away. Since my husband and I manage our finances separately, I was able to leave that house easily without any financial damage. However, I still felt really bitter. Even if you practically put money in someone's hand, some people still don't know how to use it properly. Though it hadn't even been a year yet, he forgot all about the money he already had at one point and kept scrambling to get more. After the divorce, my mother-in-law and husband had to do some deep research on how to save the restaurant they already had. They had been hanging on to hope for a while, but eventually had to let even that go. They're likely going to close the restaurant soon. After everything that went down, I don't want to think about them any longer. I'm going to focus on living my own